Hello, everyone. It is May 10th, 2019. This is Kops Office Hours. I am your moderator, facilitator, Justin Santa Barbara. I work at Google. Reminder that this meeting is being recorded when we put on the internet. Please be mindful of our code of conduct and be a good person. I'm going to paste the notes. We have an agenda. I'm going to paste that agenda into chat. Please do feel free to put your name on there. And there are couple of things on the agenda. We should get through it without any problem. But if there are other items you would like to be sure we get to, please do put them on the agenda. Otherwise, I suggest we get right into it. Swarup, I don't know. Swarup, do you want to? Are you here? And do you want to mention your issue? Otherwise, I can, or topic. Then I can. Well, Swarup asks, is there a way to run an update on a cluster on Jenkins? Well, why don't we come back to that for now, because maybe they'll join in a minute. So Ryan, should we skip to yours next, which is about the AWS region?
Yeah, that came up in the Kops Dev channel this morning. That's the China US GovCloud issue, and asking if we had a plan for that for 1.12 or what we're doing with that issue.
Yes, we should fix that. I forgot about that. All right. Yeah, we should. I will have a look at that. That will feed into the conversation we're going to have later around the proposal to do some releases. But yeah, okay. Because we should fix that. I don't know if we really. Well, we'll see how bad it is in terms of how impactful the change is. In terms of whether we cherry pick back to 1.12.0, which I think we're about to release. So, Swarup, I see you are here. Would you like to talk about your issue?
Sure. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, so we are trying to upgrade from 1.11 to 1.14, and apparently it seems like doing kops edit and changing few parameters and doing an upgrade doesn't seem to work for us for whatever reason. I don't know if I have to remove some of the flags in the cluster spec that was generated when we installed 1.11. Anyway, the question is it possible to run kops upgrade as part of Jenkins pipeline? That's it. Like the way we are doing it right now is we get the cluster on local dev machines, kops get, and then do a kops edit, and then change a few things, and then do kops update from the local machine, which is not really a good practice because we lose visibility on who is doing what and what's the outcome. So yeah, I was curious if there is any better way to do that.
Yes, so there is. I don't know if anyone here uses it, but there is this kops replace workflow, which was, I think, submitted by some users. I don't know if anyone uses that workflow and wants to explain how they use it.
I use it quite a bit. I don't use it through Jenkins. I have a bunch of Go applications that are wrapped around kops that do all the editing and everything for me, but I use kops replace and then kops rolling update pretty frequently, actually.
Yeah, we do something similar where we have a template that we use to generate it, and it's just some code that generates the files, and kops replace, and then kops rolling update, or cluster update, and then rolling update.
Yeah, same here. It's a real godsend, actually.
Same here.
Okay.
And I just want, like, kops replace is basically the same thing as kubectl apply. We didn't call it apply because apply in kubectl actually has some merge semantics, whereas kops replace does not. So it literally just is like a replacement. But it is like, you can think of it as apply.
Okay.
The one thing I'm going to say is if you delete one of the instance groups and do a replace, it will not actually delete the instance groups. We have a different workflow for that, just FYI.
Okay. Is any of those Go wrappers available as open source, or are those like really custom made for your own setup?
Mine is, we've talked about open sourcing it, but we'd have to rip out a few portions, and getting time to do that has not been possible yet.
Okay. All right. So the wrappers mostly must be doing templating or replacements, sort of.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The
Yeah,
kops
makes
actually
sense.
has templating built in. Surprise.
Yeah.
You do kops toolbox template. We do the same thing. We have like a cluster template.yaml, which is in Go template, and we have value files for each of our clusters. And we run it as part of a drone pipeline where it just does kops template, kops replace, and then kops make cloud formation, and we pass that cloud formation to our normal build tool.
Got it. Okay. Thanks. Have you yesterday we were able to successfully upgrade to 1.14, but we are still like monitoring and doing some tests. But is there a test suite that I can run on the cluster to like have that confidence that the cluster is in the cluster is a stable cluster to actually like run production workloads? We are doing some sanity checks, like checking if all the components have come up properly, check the logs to see if there are any errors, but I'm pretty confident that there is some sort of test suite out there to run against a kops cluster that's created to validate. I know kops validate does that. Is that like good enough?
Kops validate is pretty like high level. It's just checking that the instances are basically there. There is a Kubernetes E2E test suite, and a subset of that is the conformance test suite, which is believed to be safe to run on clusters. And there is a tool which calls the Kubernetes E2E test suite with the correct flags, which is surprisingly difficult, and that's called Sonaboy. It's from Heptio, now VMware, I guess. I don't know if anyone actually uses Sonaboy regularly, but that, yay, hands, there we go.
Pretty awesome. If there's a web page and you just go to it, like you don't even have, you can run all the stuff behind the scenes yourself, but you can also just drop a YAML on your cluster and it runs for a couple hours and comes back and you get a report.
So Sonaboy is, I'll put a link in the chat.
Yeah.
I can also add that we leverage the Kubernetes test suite to write custom and smoke test, and it works pretty well. There was a learning curve, but once you know that, so for example, we have a kube2am test, ingress, like just more proper smoke test that we run after we upgrade a component, and it works. It's quite good.
Great to hear.
Yeah, we do the same thing.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Great. Thank you. Why don't we skip the proposal on the next? Let's do Alex. Do you want? Sorry to jump around. Alex, do you want to go next around this allow custom CNI to use IP/IP protocol?
Yeah, sure. So I linked the pull request there, and I think Justin, you commented on it. And in general, we have the CNI network mode for like bring your own daemon set. We're actually using Calico, so we know Calico is supported by kops, but we want to have BGP reflectors. We're running them on a separate etcd that we don't run and don't use the kops etcd. So I made a fairly quick pull request to enable a flag following a similar flag that we have at the moment. But yeah, your point is pretty valid. Like having a full kind of security group style would be awesome. I'm just going to be selfish and be like, I think that IP/IP might be the most common use case, but yeah, I understand that making it generic and awesome would be the best way of going about it. So just getting people's ideas.
Yes. I think, yeah, to summarize, like, should I call you Alex or Smurl? Which is your preferred?
Alex is fine.
Okay. Alex proposed a PR where we added a field to the CNI networking spec, just called, I think, allow protocol IP/IP. And I sort of suggested that's actually really cool. And we definitely have this problem everywhere where, you know, how do we separate out? We eventually want to get all the CNI providers and everything separated out, but there is this cross dependency where different CNI providers need different ports or IP/IP open, and can we somehow specify that? And I I proposed that like we borrow the network policy syntax. There's a lot of network policy syntax, but I don't know if we can just do a subset of it. So it's not, as you say, like a massive effort. Like I don't think you should support everything. Like we would end up only supporting IP/IP, but we get the syntax right. But maybe it's overkill. I don't know if people have had a chance to read while I bloviated and have opinions.
My question would be how to specify the different node roles. So like, is it a master or worker? Because in this case, it kind of does a cross product in the firewall code, which kind of says all of the master ASGs and all of the worker ASGs can trust each other. And that becomes quite verbose if you have to put it in YAML.
Yes, I think, so my understanding is this would be in the network policy spec, but I just didn't copy that bit. So if we wanted to do, I think we should default to it being, the cross product. But I think the first link that I gave includes like a from in the network policy ingress rule, which I've then renamed node ingress rule, but network policy ingress rule has a from, which is like says that some things can, like that determines like, they use pod selectors. So we would not be identical to network policy at that point, unless we made it look like a label selector, but whatever. I would hope we could start with the full, like if I put in a policy to allow IP/IP, that it is the full mesh, including masters.
Okay.
Right, because that would be the default with, that's the right default, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, it's not great, but yeah.
If we think that's the right way to go, then yeah, we'll have a shot at it.
The other middle ground is to just have a list of strings. So there's, I guess, two middle grounds. One of which is to say, we might go to network policy one day, but for now we can just have a Boolean flag. One of them is to say, network policy is super complicated. What if we just had a list of strings and just like accepted IP/IP as the only current valid string? So a little more flexible, but would also recognize things like, I think I wrote TCP:179, which I'm guessing I, at least at the time, thought was the BGP port.
I think it is.
But that sort of thing, right?
Okay, I'll put another commit on the PR, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay, are you leaning towards slice of string or towards the complicated one?
Do it properly, or not at all, right?
Awesome, thank you. If it gets hairy, let me know. But it looks like you already figured out how to run API machinery, which is honestly the hardest bit.
Yeah, so. All right. It's not my first time adding something to an API in kops.
There we go. Thank you. All right. So next up, I am going to propose that we are more or less ready to release kops 1.12.0 and 1.13. Kops 1.12.0, let's start there. And Ryan, thank you to Ryan, who did a lot of work helping me figure out all the cherry picks that we needed. It looks like there's a comment on Peter. We moved the spreadsheet around, so I'm not sure where that comment is. Do you remember where that comment was that you mentioned?
I think it's still Celsi4. Basically, I was just suggesting the should cherry pick, the kind of legend at the top. It says no cherry pick. I'm wondering if we could rename that to should not cherry pick. So it's a little less ambiguous.
Sounds good. When I'm also not on a machine that can edit it. So when I got on a machine, I will edit it. That sounds a great suggestion. But you're not suggesting we change the dash, right? Or should we change the dash to an N, are you suggesting? Or
just the terminology.
Just the, okay, the legend.
I updated.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right. Yes, so we have this spreadsheet, which is linked in the agenda for people that want to click on it. And we have gone through 1.12, and I think everything has been cherry picked. The things that have, there were about 5 or 6 that have not, which are cleanups and refactorings, which we probably don't need unless a future PR needs them. So I think the right thing to do is we only cherry pick those if a future cherry pick needs them. They shouldn't be, I don't anticipate that we will actually need them. So if I think there was one very valid objection brought up earlier, which is the AWS region bug. I don't know if anyone else has any blockers on 112 that would block 112.0. Going once, twice, 3 times done. Just kidding. But yes, if you do, then yeah, please feel free to speak up. It's overdue. All right, good. Oh.
I fully think we should get 112 out, especially before KubeCon.
Okay.
I think one thing maybe I would propose is if we can fix that, you know, it's a PR, so you know maybe we can merge that, or if there's adjustments needed, you know, try to get those done ASAP. But if not, like hold up the release, but only so long.
Got it.
Then let's cut the release, and if we really need to create a, you know, a 112.1
Yeah.
to include that.
That makes sense.
I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would rather cut the 112, and like if we can easily merge that one, great. If it's going to require rework, then cut 112.0 and then quickly do a 112.1 and just put in the release notes that there's no issue with China.
Okay, that works. And then I was also proposing that we bump our new, we have 113 and 114 in flight as it were. So we can then do 113.0 beta 1 and 114.0 alpha 2. Basically getting those rolling forward so that this is part of our big like catch-up effort, which is, you know, the upside of all those cherry picks with the crazy spreadsheet is that we can actually hopefully catch up. Maybe not by KubeCon, but pretty soon afterwards.
Yeah, I support that, and I will be happy to help this weekend cherry pick all those things into 13 and 14.
Thank you. I think we're okay on 13, but 14 is definitely lagging. Oh, we're not. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rodrigo, did I interrupt you?
No.
Okay. Did I interrupt someone else? Sorry. Okay. All right, that's great. So I will, and thank you, Ryan, for volunteering to continue with our cherry pick joy. But yeah, otherwise, so yeah, 112.0, expect that by Monday, I guess. Ryan, you are presumably going to ask me to post office hours recordings, which I will do.
Yeah, I pointed something to them the other week, and then I realized how far out of date they were.
Okay, I will do that. Yes, I will do that. Right. I am not traveling today, so it's possible or more practical. And then we have 2 items that I moved to the bottom of the agenda about canceling the next meeting or not canceling the next meeting, which I thought was amusing to put those right up against each other. So I was suggesting we should cancel the next meeting, which is May 24th, in honor of KubeCon EU. I think technically KubeCon ends on Thursday, but I imagine, well, I certainly am not going to be, I'm traveling on the Friday. So the alternative for Marco, who is not here because he's in another meeting, which is we could actually do something at KubeCon EU, which I think is a great idea. Yeah, I think we should try to definitely have some sort of face-to-face. I don't think we've organized anything per se. I don't know what the right method is to organize that.
I guess one thing we can ask is, so it looks like Marco's not on the call, but okay, so it's Justin and I and Matteo, which I'm planning to be at the Contributor Summit on Monday. I don't know, sorry if I'm butchering your name, Matteo. Are you planning to be there?
So unfortunately, I have to travel for personal reason on Monday, so I'm going to skip that, but I'm going to be there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay. All right. So maybe we target Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday then. Cool. yeah, maybe I'll try to put together something.
We can always just, if it's a smaller group, we can just get lunch together one day, maybe?
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Lunch is always pretty relaxed.
Yeah. Also, I live in Barcelona, so I can volunteer to drive around for after the conference if you want to organize something informal after as well.
Oh, that could be fun.
All right. I'll be in town for a few days after before I hop on a cruise ship.
Oh,
yeah,
that sounds fun. We have reached the end of our agenda. I don't know if anyone else has any other items they would like to bring up.
Just a quick one. Is the release branch the release branch?
The release branch should be the release branch of the last released release, i.e. not pre-release. So when we do 1.12.0, I should push if I recall, I should push 1.12.0 to it. And right now it should be pointing to our last release, which if I recall correctly is 1.11.1. Is that right?
Sure.
You should not, we probably shouldn't have made the release branch, but once we made it, I try to keep it pointing at the last stable or released release, as it were.
Cool. And now frantically making sure all my PRs are in the 112. You must hold up the release for me.
Okay. I think it's targeted at master, and then we cherry pick it, so that's fine. That's correct.
Cool.
I think it would take. Yes, cool. If there's nothing else, I thank everyone for their time and for all their wonderful PRs and issues, and thank you. And hope to see as many of you as possible in Barcelona. And it sounds like we will not do COPS office hours on the Friday in 2 weeks, the 24th, but we will instead do it next on the 7th of June. And we will hopefully have a COPS office hours on-site lunch or off-site lunch in KubeCon EU. Thank you all.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You guys.
Bye.
Thanks.